forgot to get rid of that. Everybody, welcome back to another episode of the ABJ Podcast. Just still bumps in the road. Yeah, future content creators. See, we're 95 episodes in, 6 years in doing this, and I still make small mistakes about unclicking things that I should have. But anyway, we are here, episode 95, with the one and only Samira. Very excited for this one. Also a fellow content creator out in the scene. Met her once again. You're going to hear a trend here, a lot of high tension, a lot of Camp Leapfrog, former campers of Camp Leapfrog. That's where we met. We'll talk about all that, but make sure you check out the links below to support all things ABJ, whether it be links, merchandise, t-shirts, as well as my guests, and follow them on all social media and show them support and say, hey, listen to the podcast with you on ABJ. And show that value of the podcast if there is any. I'm looking at you. So, you know, we're 95 episodes in. The T Public should be completely updated. So I'm still kind of working on it. This is recorded in October, just for future reference for everybody. But the T Public will have every logo that's available, unless they take them down because copyright things for some reason. But and then the Teespring side of the merch will be just ways of you can like specialized merch. So certain things like you can get on one merchandise, but you can't get on the other, or a hoodie might be better on one site than the other because I can't control everything on one site. So the Teespring side will just be rotating logos, and I'll post what ones are available when they are. But TeePublic will have everything. So if you want to grab a T-shirt, a button, a pin, stickers, that's all there. So a great way to support. Also, if you want to check this out on Patreon, you get it a week early. All episodes drop on a Monday. And it's pretty much all I got for the housekeeping side of things. Appreciate you all for hanging out for this long of the year, coming up close to the end of the year here, getting close to that episode 100. It's been a crazy journey. And then coming into season 2, may have some new music, may have some new logos, or a variant of the logo that's up in the right-hand corner there. So we have some cool things. Season 2 is shaping up already with a lot of cool interviews. Still a lot of independent wrestling interviews, I'm not going to lie to you, that I have booked, but we are going to get more musicians and other type of people in different industries. If you want to be a guest, hit me up. If you are looking to be a guest, even if you're not a professional wrestler, or if you're someone who's listening and you're like, yo, I like this local band and you should interview them, or someone else who has a local business, or someone you just think is really fascinating, send them over to the ABJ Podcast. I like to pick their brain and talk to them and learn more about their art and their story. So without further ado, let's bring in the one, the only Samira. What's going on?
Hi.
I feel like
good.
every time
I
see I'm doing fantastic. Wink, wink, hint. No, I'm like, I felt like a My Chemical Romance. Like I'm okay, I promise. But yeah, every time I see your name or I say your name, I always think of like Sabrina, like from Netflix. I don't know, it just like it catches in my eye like that because I have like this horror movie brain at all times. But like Samira is like a perfect like I feel like the Nickelodeon talk show host type, like, hey, it's Samira, like, you know what I mean? Like it's catchy. It's perfect. I don't know. It's a good name.
Thank you. I mean, that would actually pretty cool if I had like my own talk show. It's Samira, because that's how I like kind of labeled myself at first, was it's Samira. So
Yeah.
maybe one day, future business adventures.
What was maybe I'm showing my age, or maybe you're too young for this, but like on what was it? All That. It's Amanda, what Amanda Bynes, where it's like it's me.
Yeah, the Amanda show.
Yeah, the Amanda show. Yeah, like that's like it's Samira. Like yeah, it's good branding. It's good branding. Some people do complete shoot names. You stuck with your real name, like Samira's your legit name.
Yes,
did
you like my legit name?
In the beginning, did you kick around like a fake name, or was it always just going to be who you are, like that way?
I always wanted to do it like just as my name because it is so unique, and it's like, I wanted to kind of bring, in a sense, my culture into it as well, because nobody has like really a name like mine. So I was like, I'm gonna stick with it. Who cares if people can't pronounce it? They'll learn it. It's cool. It's cute. So just Samir. But I was like, last name. I was like, all right, I don't want to do my shoot last name, of course, and I just couldn't think of one. So I was like, let's just Samira and see what happens, and it works.
Yeah. And some people, like, you have a great first name, but then like the last name is tough. Like, so the two content creators that pop into my head are Chris Van Vliet. Like, people mess that one up all the time. Or Renee Paquette. And they're just like, you're trying to Google it and you're like, Renee, how do you spell Paquette? Or Van Vliet. Like, so like I definitely see how just Samira, and then you kind of become that like Beyonce figure where it's just the first name.
Oh my God, not on that legendary status.
Not yet. Work at it. You'll be there soon. Keep grinding. So what explain to people who you are and what you do, like a brief kind of like breakdown.
So hi, if you don't know me, my name is Samira. I'm a wrestling broadcaster. I kind of label myself as everyone's favorite correspondent because I do a lot of correspondent work, like whether it's like backstage interviews or like in ring, in person interviews, and ring announcing. So that's kind of my deal. But like how you knew me as, or well, you knew me through Camp Leapfrog, but before I started that, I was like doing like coverage for like websites, like interviews, and I had my own like YouTube channel, like doing kind of stuff, but I jumped into like the business side. I was like, I wanna get into this part. This seems really fun and what I really want to do.
Have you always been a pro wrestling fan, or was it something you kind of stumbled across and you're like, oh, this is a venture I want to kind of dive into?
I became a fan when I was like 6 or 7 years old. Like my uncle was really into it because like my grandfather, when he was alive, come home from work on a Saturday and like would watch it. So my uncle got into it, and then like when I was a kid, like he'd have it on, and like me and my brother were there. Or he had like Raw 2 for the Xbox, so we would play. And I don't know, ever since like then, like we go to like the show that was local, I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is fun, and I never grew out of it.
That's awesome. I say I a lot of people they just kind of like fall into it through a friend or something, but being a lifelong fan is always a bonus because then you gotta get to find that niche. So you said you were doing website interviews and stuff like that. So what brand or what type of interviews or like what industry were you kind of interviewing people in?
So I worked with two wrestling websites like maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And I just kind of did interviews like I would reach out to them or like to the wrestlers that we probably wanted to do for the site, or I went to media scrums, or I traveled out to do like interviews. And that's kind of what my role was. It was fun. It was just like I kind of knew like then, even though I was having a great time with that, I wanted to be on the other side of things and actually be a part of the business and like learn it and be like to fit that role and see what that was like.
So when are you taking your first bump?
Oh my God. I
Well,
swear
technically
this
you
is like
have.
I actually never taken a bump, but I always say like I want
Kind
to
of.
learn the basics, like so at
Yeah,
least
but I
I
mean, you were
know.
involved in a bump. It wasn't like a back bump, but you've taken a bump. You were knocked off
No.
the ring apron.
Oh my God, like that was seriously not even planned. That's like the crazy part. I don't think I've actually told the full story of it, like of actually what happened, unless like you were a friend of mine. So basically, thank God I was like took off my heels that I was wearing for that show. I was like, you know what? There's no steps. I have to get up on a chair. Just let me change in my boots. Like I don't want like anything to happen. Oh my gosh. Max, I don't know what was going through his head, and he just hit the ropes as I was getting off, and I knew it was gonna happen. I was like, oh my God, you gotta land on your feet or you're gonna like break an ankle. You're gonna like do something. So good thing I land on my feet. And he goes flying into the other I mean, not the turnbuckle, the ropes, and gets mixed up in that. So there was his karma, jokingly. Like, I'm not mad at Max. It was an accident. And then, like, I'm like, oh my God, we have to, like, act like it was planned because we're not starting this over. And I'm just, like, kind of shocked. And Big Dust is laughing at me. And Miles was like, but Max came up to me afterwards. He felt really bad. I said, I understand it was an accident. Like, it's no hard feelings. Like, I get it. But, like, thank God landed on my feet. I was like, oh my God, what the heck am
And
I
you
going
were
to
in
do if I
boots?
break something? Thank God I switched to combat boots because when I was doing interviews, because I did interviews for the first half of the show, and I was in, like, booted heels. And I switched for ring announcing because I was like, there's no steps. So good thing I did because I think if I had the heels, oh, my ankle would have been done.
Yeah, the only person who I've seen pull heels off with and without steps, like I've seen her do it where she has to get up on chairs, and it was like CFU shows where it's like the cage and the ropes.
Oh, I
Dude,
already know who
Sam
you're going to
Laterna
say.
is
Sam.
is is the goat, man. She whatever the outfit, whatever the shoe, she finds a way in and out. Like there's been times where I'm there and I'm like, I'm just gonna get up and stand by the cage door and help people in and out because she's gonna like I'm always afraid she's gonna roll her ankle or something. And if you lose like you are a Sam Laterna at a show, it's over. Like the whole vibe of the show is gone. Like she's not just the ring announcer, but she's like the host. She's the voice. She's exactly what you need to be. And same with you in that role. And I'm just like, oh my God, we can't we can't lose her. And she's getting in and out between ropes and a cage and a a
Oh
chair
my
with heels.
gosh.
She's an animal.
The last show we just did, and we did like by the time this comes out, the show will be already on YouTube, but like, oh my God, we had such a hard time with the steps. Like they had like these steps for us, and it was just so narrow. And even some of the girls that needed to get in the ring were uneasy about them as well. And again, I had heels and I had my backup like Adidas Superstars that I did not plan to wear. It was just so steep. I was worried, and I like to say I get the princess treatment. Every single time I get in and out of a ring or a cage, like I need somebody to hold my hand. We need to be sure I'm a princess about it. Um, so it just wasn't working. They're like, okay, let's try a chair. And I switch out of my heels into like my superstores because I was like, there's just no way like it's possible. Again,
Shoot
it
from
was just
shoot from the waist
too
up. Don't get my feet.
so like the chair, it was still too steep of a step, and we're all just like, what, like, are we gonna do those little like step ladder, or are we gonna do this chair? Thank God the people at the Elks Lodge like had this better step ladder, wasn't narrow, and I got down perfectly. And thank God to Andy Brown, who was there to like help me out of the cage. Like I was like, thank God, because like I knew I would fall. Like it would just happen to me.
Yeah. So was Leapfrog like your first introduction into doing like on show interviews? Was that like one of your first ones?
Yeah, so I had just gotten done with college, and I knew I was like, okay, like if I'm gonna do this, I need to go full throttle into it. Like I can't just not chase my dreams. Like now I don't have like, in a sense, college holding me back. Cause like I wanted to when I do my work, I was like that needed to come first. School needed to just like had to come first at that point. And then once that was done, I was like, okay, if I really want to do wrestling, I need to go. I have to just chase my dreams and just not look back. So I messaged Sam and I asked her for advice, and like I was like, hey, I really want to try. I think at the time I told her like ring announcing or like backstage interviewing, like, can you give me any feedback? Can you hear how I sound? And she helped me, like she gave me feedback and she told me where to go, where she suggested me out. She asked, and it was Camp Leapfrog that time. And she told them about me, and I talked to some people, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll bring you in. And that July show that we did the taping, the Tag Camp Grand Prix, was my first time ever doing like actual like backstage interviews, like being like that. And I was just like, oh my God, like, am I gonna be doing this right? Are they gonna want me back? Like, oh my God, like what's gonna happen? And like I just kind of jumped in, and
Sam
I like,
definitely
oh,
was you were a good addition because Sam was literally everything. She was like commentary, she was ring announcing, she was backstage inter, she was running around like an animal. So you coming in and kind of doing more of the backstage thing was a perfect fit. And you were like Sam Jr., like Sam Samira, like it was all there. I just remember that was when I was like full production. I think that tag tournament is when I first started doing commentary too for Camp Leapfrog. Like that was the first show I really did a lot of commentary. And I always had a trunk full of equipment. And I remember you were in the garage and it
oh
was getting dark.
yeah,
And you're like, I don't know what to do for lights. And I was like, I got you. And I went to my car and I pulled out these big spotlights and I set them all up for you and
oh my
stuff. And
God, I forgot about that.
yeah, like because you were literally trying to film promos in a room with a tiny garage light. And I was like, your footage is
Yeah,
gonna look terrible. And you're like, I don't have anything else.
because like at that time I didn't know, like, how it was, like, if you bring your own equipment, they have equipment. And I believe at the time I had brought my camera and my tripod that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And like as it got dark, I was like, okay, I have like a little like flashlight on the thing, but I didn't think we were gonna go so late because I just didn't know how this all worked at the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't have light, like what am I going to do? And I forgot that you had got me the light that time.
Yeah, and I couldn't find a power source, and luckily my lights have like the power bricks. So I was like, "Here's like 9 bricks. If they die, just swap them out." Because like I had to go do something else, but it all worked out. It was a good team
It
effort. That was
did.
my favorite thing. But that's the first time we met was you doing the backstage
Yeah.
interviews. I first started with backstage interviews as well, and I honestly like I enjoyed it. But there's 2 things that I sucked with. I suck at staying in character. Like I always said coming into this, I've been playing a little bit of heel here and there on commentary, but for the most part, like I have a hard time playing a character because I laugh. Like if I'm in a situation that's either uncomfortable or funny, I smile and laugh. I can't break it. I just can't do it. So every time I did a few backstage interviews, like the person's serious and they're screaming, I'm just like I'm smiling and I'm like ruining it. I know I'm ruining it. They're like, you got to stop. I'm like, I can't do it. Like it's supposed to be a tense moment. And I'm just like grinning, laughing because I'm like, they're doing such a good job. I couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
And being a dude interviewer, it's like everybody wants to grip up or manhandle the interviewer.
Yeah.
I don't
That's
like
very
that.
true.
I'm not into that. And also, like, I have a joint disorder. So if I get jerked the wrong way, like my ankle's dislocating, or I'll pop a knee, or my shoulder's coming out. And I'm just like, hey, just do me a favor. Just don't put your. And then it sounds like I'm trying to be like, don't touch me, bro. You know what I mean? But I'm like, no, literally for my health. Like, I don't want to trip or fall, because if you shove me, it could be catastrophic for both of us. But that was always the thing, is like, they get in the zone and they're angry. And the old school wrestling thing is like, grab the guy interviewing you, like, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? And I was just like, I don't think it's going to work for me, because I don't want to ruin their creativity by saying, if that's how they feed off of it, I don't want to stop that. But also, like, I just don't think it's a good fit for me. Like, that's why I got out of it real quick. I was like, oh man, I had a few where I got gripped up and I was just like, please don't push me, because there's no room in this room. I will fall. And it was always my equipment. I didn't want any of my stuff to break. But is there any interviews that really stand out for you that like are your favorites, or like people that you're like, when you see like, hey, I'm going to interview them, you're like super excited because you know it's going to be a good time?
Oh, definitely number one. I always say this. Darius Carter. Man, oh my God, I love him. He's just so great at what he does. So anytime I get the chance to interview him backstage for something, I just know it's gonna be good, and I know he's gonna rip on me too, which is like so funny. And I'm just like, oh my God, like I just get so excited to interview him. He's such a great guy, and he's great at what he does. I can't wait to see him go farther. The Goons, funny, just
How do you
incredibly
not break on
funny.
those?
Oh my God, I haven't done one with them in a bit, but we just worked the last High Tension show together. It was Dust, Miles, and Nelson. And I remember in the back, because I was ring announcing like the show, and they're like, yeah, call me Mr. 499, but if you like do it there, like I'm gonna get really like mad with you. But they're so much fun to film with. They're really good. Who else? But I just like knew straight away Darius number one. I mean, especially coming from my Camp Leapfrog days. I remember, and him and I were just talking about this at like the last Magic show, and like we were just like kind of talking about it. Like that's how I started, and that's how we're saying, like, I started at like Camp Leapfrog, so he saw me when I was just starting out. Like I was still like shy, just trying to get my footing together, like, and just trying to figure out like what to kind of do, facial expressions, like as you were talking, like I was nervous because I was like, oh my God, I hope I don't crack. I hope I act out well, because I didn't think I was going to be like a great actor. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't mess this up. And, you know, as now the years have gone by and I've like learned, and I'm still like, obviously you're still learning every single time, but I've like grown so much. And like, even Darius was like saying, like, I remember you're so shy and like how you are, and look at how you are now, like doing these interviews, and like you're on the ball, you're grabbing people, you're doing what you're doing, like you're gonna go far. It's like great to see from where you came from to where you are now. And I'm like, no, don't make me cry. Like,
You know
that
what
means
I
a
noticed
lot.
from,
What's up?
and it's not something I noticed like then, but now I notice it now. Like, you go back and watch some of your older stuff, and then you see your stuff now. You know, I realized when you were like fully in your zone, your posture changed. When you first started, you were like, you would like curl up in a ball almost.
Yeah.
And now like you're there. Like, you're like, I belong here. I got this. Like, you can tell, like, when you hit your transformation, you're like, all right, this is where I belong, and this is when I'm going to start doing that. Like, that's when I noticed. I'm like, oh, Samira's on her game now. She's like,
Yeah.
she's in it. You know what I mean? Like,
it took some time until like I got my footing, and it's like at the same time I felt like I wasn't also close with anybody. I was still getting to know people, so like I think that also affected how I was. And like until like I still got more into it, and I kept practicing, and I kept like showing up for shows, and like for them to have me back, and like I just kept going. That's when I started to feel like more comfortable. I'm like, okay, like in a sense, like knowing what my worth was and knowing what I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I got this. Like, why am I like overthinking all of this? Like, I know what I'm doing. I got this. Like, people wouldn't bring me in if they didn't think, you know, they saw something in me. So
yeah. It's crazy because like you're coming into a locker room for the first time, either as a commentator or a backstage interviewer or anyone in that zone, and it's intimidating because you're not a worker, you're not a wrestler, you're not the booker, you're like, no one knows who you are. But it's kind of weird. Like, you're definitely on a bigger level than I am, but like I get it sometimes too, and maybe you can agree with this, but like the first couple times you go in and you don't know anybody, or it's a new locker room, or you're brand new and you don't really have a friend, or you don't have someone to like coincide with, like, hey, can I just pick your brain so I can like get my mind at ease? So those first couple shows are rough. And then
Mhm.
you finally get comfortable, and then you go to a different show and it's a whole new locker room, whole new people, and you're like, oh no, I'm here
Yeah.
again. But then the more you keep making friends in this industry, the more you're like, okay, I'm at the Leapfrog, and then I go to a Magic and Darius is there. So I can sit and talk to Darius and I'm good. And Darius is gonna make sure everybody, like, he's gonna like give everybody the word that like this, they're like Samira's good at what she does, or they're good at what they do. And then it gets to the point where you put so much content out that you walk into a locker room and you might be in a completely like this happened to me in New York and New Jersey. Like my first time there, I walk into a locker room. I don't know, I maybe know one person, and then everyone's coming to me like, yo, what's going on, Anthony? Man, I love the podcast. And you're like, I don't really know who you are, but that's dope. You know who I like. It already, you have that barrier where you like you've earned it. Like
Yeah.
your content has been seen, people respected what you do, and then you kind of walk into a locker room, not like expecting everyone to know who you are, but it's kind of like it gives you that confidence of like you're being seen enough that people respect you before you even have to make that introduction.
Yeah, it is like then a surreal feeling because they're like, "Oh, I've seen you on like social media," or "Oh, I've heard you
Mm-hmm.
about like from other, people in the business." And like that's like it's crazy. Or like even like I don't know if you've seen like I like to vlog like when I'm like
I think
at
the
my
vlogs are
shows. Like
great ideas. I think more people should do wrestling vlogs. I'm being dead serious. I
I
think they're
love
fun.
it.
Yeah. I
And
think they're
like when
super
I
fun.
hear like other like talent, like wrestlers or anybody else backstage, and like I hear from them, they're like, I watch your stuff. It's like it's really good, and I'm like, and like sometimes like didn't think like anybody really cared for the vlogs. So hearing it from other people and like other people in the business too, like that they sit and watch them and they think it's fun, like that meant a lot to me. So I'm like, oh my god. So it's been fun though. It's been really fun, like since coming from Camp Leapfrog to where I am now, and how much it's like changed and how much I've grown, and I'm still growing, but I'm really proud.
When you do the vlog, um, I wanted to do a vlog. I started one a little bit, but I feel like I didn't get what makes being backstage at a wrestling show special. Because I think that is a special place to be, and it's an earned spot. I feel like not everyone should be back there, not everyone like can be back there, and it's an environment that you can't put into words. And when people see it, I think it resonates and it's cool. Like when you see backstage at WWE or you see backstage at AEW, you're like, oh, that's backstage. Like they're doing stuff backstage. Like it's cool. Even if it's a bit or
Yeah.
something, it's fun to see people kind of lower that character that you see when they hit the curtain. But also like you don't want to break any code or any trust,
Hmm.
or there's people who may
Yeah.
be changing, or there may be people who are masked that are unmasked. There may
Hmm.
be conversations happening that aren't supposed to be out there. So it's a tough balance. And some people are very protective of their character and they don't want their character to be seen in that light. But it's a very hard thing to find that balance when you're doing like a backstage vlog. But for people like us, like that are content creators, are the interviewers, we don't get to showcase in a match. And in this business, the match is the money. So we need to stand out in our way. And the best way we can do that is kind of having that talent trust us enough to let their guard down to give us an interview out of character or to give us that exclusive backstage feel or look. But it's also hard to ask a talent to do that. But when a talent understands, like, hey, in your role as an interviewer or your role as a vlog, this helps your content and this gives a side of the business that not everyone can do, but I trust and respect you enough that I'll give that to you. And it's a very special bond.
Yeah, and I'm like lucky that they all like, whoever wants to be in it can be in it. I just like to like when I get there, I always have to remember then to pick up the camera because like you get so busy, you're wrapped up in what you're
Yep.
doing because that obviously that 100% comes first. And
Yep.
when I have the
100%.
time, because like you're there early and you're just like talking with your friends, like if there's a moment and they're cool with it, pull out the camera or like, hey, do you want to be in the vlog? Like, and you just roll with it, and it's super fun. And then you go back and like you get to basically look back at what that the show was like that day, and it's just like so much fun looking back like, oh my god, I forgot that happened. Like I love going back and then looking at them, and like my friend who doesn't even like wrestling, she's not into it, she watches the vlogs because she wants to support me, and she thinks it's like so funny, and she thinks it's so fun like seeing all the like stuff that we do backstage, or when I'm with like my friends, she goes, oh my god, this is like so funny, like she goes like and they're so cool about it. I was like, yeah, as long as like you just like watch where you are, like how you're saying, if people are unmasked or like conversations or people are gonna change, you just gotta watch where you're filming and what like what's being said around you. But other than that, like
I got one masked wrestler unmasked, and they're a big deal wrestler one time. And
I feel like as long as you didn't say the name
I
or
didn't.
anything and
So
they were fine with it, I think like you're
it wasn't
clear.
my content, it was for the brand. But when I filmed it, they they did a behind the scenes backstage locker room bit where they showed off the new titles. And it was going to be a promotional bit for the people who made the titles as well as for the promotion showing off the titles. And then once they do it, they're going to like, yo, here was the behind the scenes exclusive. And they just said anyone with a camera film it. So I start filming it and I get like all these different angles and people's reactions to the belt. And a wrestler walks like is standing right there. And I'm not even noticing because I'm getting the belt, but I don't realize how big my GoPro is getting the frame, and that little tiny screen you can't tell. And then I go back and edit. I'm like, oh my God, like that's a big name deal at no mask on. And then halfway through again, I'm filming, and then they come out of shot and then into shot and literally walk straight into the camera. So then I'm thinking to myself, like, they seen the camera. They knew that this was happening. So at that point, they don't care. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and then I kind of messaged the promoter. I was like, hey, just a quick thing. Like these shots, someone is unmasked. You might want to check with them to make sure they're cool. It's not my content to post, but I wanted to give them the heads up. And I guess everybody was cool with it, but it was one of those deals. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
Because it's a big thing. Like you want to be sure.
Yeah. And but it was one of those things I thought they may have told the locker, like, hey, we're going to have cameras here for this spot. And everyone had film. So I thought at that point, like, it is what it is at that, like, but it was like terrible. I seen it as I'm doing the editing. I'm like, oh no, like I didn't want to do this. Yeah,
That happened to me
wild.
one time in a vlog with a masked wrestler, and I was like, oh my God, they're unmasked, but like they're like and I like texted them. I was like, hey, you were unmasked. Like I was like, I know nobody knows you unmasked. I was like, I don't think anybody said your name. Like I showed them the footage. Like, is this still okay to post? They're like, oh yeah, like as long as like nobody said the name, or if somebody said the name, just cut the name part out and just like post the other clips. I was like, okay. I was like, oh my God, because I was like, I don't want to, they're like, no, you're good. Just go ahead and do it.
Well, it's probably better that they felt better that you reached out and asked, because some people just post. Like, there's some people who go backstage and like the way they conduct themselves as content creators annoy the fuck out of me, because like I feel like people like us go in there and respect it. And even though we're content creators, when we're hired for a company, we put the company's banner before our content banner, and we respect all that and we treat ourselves accordingly. And then just any fucking jabroni walks in and they ruin that moment for people like us because they disrespect it. And then like you reach out to a talent and you're like, hey, can I get you on a podcast? They're like, no, like I hate podcasts, because I had so many bad experiences with people who don't know how to conduct themselves, and it's tough. But yeah, I pitched an idea to leap to high tension a while ago. I wanted to do like a rivalry with you. Like I was gonna start like beef with you. So like the joke
during,
was
like the whole March thing.
It might have. So I kind of like threw it out there as a teaser during your vlog, but it was something that I pitched to Alex, but he was so busy, it never got any steam. But the bit was going to be that I was brought in to host the spring break show.
Oh yeah.
Because you got knocked off the apron.
I was scared to come back.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I'm only good when Samira's not around. And I was going to do this whole thing where like a rivalry with you, like, but it just never came to fruition. But I thought that would have been fun as content creators to kind of go at it with each other. Like, well, you're trash.
Oh my God.
That's why when in the vlog, I kind of was like, oh, I'm cool enough to be here. Oh, because Samira's here now. Like that's like, I think I threw like a little shade, like as a joke in the vlog.
I remember that. It's like now I have unintentional beef with Meg Zero now because of the whole thing. So, but it's funny, it works.
Yeah, that's how it started with me and Ricky. I was just doing heel commentary and he came out and I just didn't know who his character was because he was so new. And I was just like, oh, he's playing like a jock bad guy. So I was like, this guy's a scumbag. So I just start hating on him on commentary. And then he actually went back and listened to commentary and then like heard me on commentary because I'm loud. So then he's like, F you, man. And then it just started this whole rivalry where like we hated each other. And I was just like, it was like almost that Bailey Michael Cole thing. And it grew legs of its own. And like people were like, it got to the point I was walking into a high tension, or I think at the time it was a Smash show. And one of the people were like, hey, just give you a heads up, like Ricky's in there. And I was like, oh, but they were a worker. Like, I was like, do they think we really hate you? I think they thought we were like, yeah, we worked a worker. Like, I don't know. It was wild. They're like, just a heads up, Ricky's in there. I was like, like what?
I get that sometimes, like on the comments of the vlog, somebody said something about, I forget who it was, and they're just like, that wasn't nice of them. That was like, who do they think they are? Like, you're Samira, and I'm like, it's just for like guys.
No,
It's
let it
not
roll.
real.
Let it roll.
I
Because
know,
that's how
but I
you,
was like,
yeah. If you could work something
it
in a
was
vlog,
at
that's amazing.
I think it was like at a Smash show, and somebody I just remember the clip of me and Riley standing together. We were talking. Somebody came by and flipped us off. I forget who it was, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's so rude!" And then like there were fans by. They're like, "What's wrong with them flipping you guys off for or something?" And I'm just like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, what's wrong with
Yeah.
these people?" But then it's like recently, a couple months ago, I joined Invictus as backstage correspondent. Sadly, Invictus right now is on an indefinite hiatus. But oh my god, my light just died.
I was like, it got real dark.
Oh my god, no! All right, technical difficulties here. The light died. Sorry about that. All right.
I can edit all this out.
Okay. We'll do that. I guess it's sorry about the lighting. It died.
You're good. You're good.
Um,
Yeah.
but oh gosh, where was I?
Invictus. You were backstage.
So I joined the Invictus team back in June, backstage correspondent, but I was also being brought in as Genesis personal ring announcer. So that now put me in a whole different role where I get to be heel. I get to be this whole new like person, this whole new character, which
You were
like
like Ricardo
was really
Rodriguez. You were a
fun.
personal ring announcer.
It was really fun, and I was like, I felt like honored and like thankful that they wanted me to do that and be a part of their group in a way to do something like that. So that was pretty cool being like somebody like so different. Now I got to be like also heel. I've never been heel. I've never done anything like that before. So getting to be in that position and people are like booing and they're like, oh my god, like I just remember like getting in the ring and there were like people that have seen me at other shows and they're like, why Samira? Like, what is she doing? And they're like coming up to me and I'm just like, oh my god, this is like in my head. I'm like, oh my god, this is like so cool. Like, I just hope I'm doing a good job.
I want to flip somebody off.
It was cool
That'll be a photo. I need that as a photo. You, the first time you get so angry, you flip a fan off. That needs to be the new shirt. Like Samir,
oh my
like
god. I don't know if I could flip off a fan like that. Genesis did a time where we flipped off like the camera the one time just to be like, oh, Invictus management because like their whole thing, and it was fun. We were trying to bring it into Titan. I don't know what the whole. I can't obviously go into detail about all that, like what's going on with that. But the one part, the last show, I got in like involved with the match where I got this chair for TKO and I climb up and I'm grabbing on Daniel Alexander. Like never done anything like that before. So like doing all that and like getting like that involved in a sense was like crazy. I'm like, oh my god, like this is like it's insane. Like, but it's cool. Like I'm like learning and like stepping into like kind of like a new role too. So it's kind of cool to like try and learn and see all that and what's that about. So
and it comes down to
more
too,
of
like
it.
you
We don't
built
know.
a brand, so you're important too. Like when people see like you have made your brand a thing, so when people know they're booking you, they're booking your brand and they're booking what you've made as your audience and what you've made as like your thing. You know what I mean? And I think that's super important. I think that's why you're growing the way you're growing. Like I look at this industry, I look at the independent scene. It's like Sam Laterna is super high up there. Alicia Toot is super high up there. Like you're following in those steps, like where people, when you get brought in, like they're getting brought in to do backstage interviews. They're getting brought in to do ring announcing. They're getting brought in because they have a vlog and like, oh, the promotion wants the blog in the back. Like, and then the talent are like, how do I get on the blog? Like everything you're doing is the perfect way you're going about it. And then that's going to lead to opportunities of you being in bits, or instead of being like your vlog, they're asking you to cut promos or be a part of storylines. And that's cool to be part of.
Yeah, it was something like cool and like new. Like I wasn't expecting it. They're like would you want to do it? Like we want to do that. We think that'd be really cool. And they want you as a backstage correspondent for the the promotion anyway. And I'm like, you know what? Let's try it out. Let's see what happens. And we ran with it, and it was really fun, and it was cool. And like hopefully when Invictus like whenever it comes back, we can pick back up and do what we were doing. But it's definitely a fun experience being on like the other end and trying to like see what that's about. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So we kind of talked, you said in the beginning, we threw some names out there, or some people you like to interview. But who are some people on the independent scene that you work with at shows that you're like, man, they're gonna be a big deal? Like the way they are in the ring, the way they conduct themselves backstage as people, the way they conduct themselves as like, in general. Like you're like, they're gonna like, who are some names out there that you're just like very like you're really watching them like at any moment like they could be on TV?
Again, gonna name drop Darius Carter, like amazing. Like I said, backstage, how he is with everybody, very respectful. Just in ring work, how he's on the mic, he's a star. He's a star, and I just know as soon as he gets somewhere, boom. Like people don't know, they just don't know yet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, who else? There's just so many people that run through my mind because like everyone is just so talented, and you just can like you just know like when you're there and you're like working backstage and you just like you're with everybody, you can just like you know the vibes and you just feel it. Um, oh my God, who else? Like I just like there's so many people running through my mind and I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even know who to name anymore. But Darius is like definitely number one I can think of.
I completely agree. He's someone that it's funny because he probably thinks I'm stalking him because I tag him in clips a lot, but his name just naturally comes up. Like people respect him, and every time his name's brought up, like it's gonna be a clip. So this is gonna be a clip because
people love Darius.
The more I can put your name out there, the more people are gonna be like, well, why are they talking? Like everyone's talking about this guy, and if you don't know, you should. And yeah, definitely one of those names. Another one for me, like. I say it a lot. We're buddies, but I just think he's super talented and he can give any single role you ask him, whether it be babyface, heel, ring announcer. Just in the charisma and the in ring is so good. J.S. Hawthorne, super high on my list.
Oh yeah,
so good. Prince Ahmed is someone who I think is a mega star waiting in the wings. And Rocket. I think Rocket's another one, like just so flashy, so good. Like his music hits and everyone loses it. Daniel Alexander is super high on that list too. When like you have no idea what's going to come out of him, and he's just so charismatic and just gets people enthralled in a match. He's been doing like heel stuff now, right? Like he's becoming a bad guy. Is that a Titan?
I think it's somewhere else. I know he's trying out some new stuff, but yeah. All
That's
those
exciting.
Names
I
like
kind of,
yes.
Yeah,
like,
I kind of want to see more heel Daniel. That's a fun. Jay Bougie. Jay Bougie's another one.
Oh, definitely Bougie.
Boy, his heat could be nuclear. PJ Savage, another one who's out there who just
definitely.
And we just named 4 Johnny Rod school people, just putting it out there. Like that speaks volumes. But like you said, like there's so many very talented, and like on the women's side, like Christina Marie, super high on my list.
Oh my God, yes, definitely. Christina, she's so nice too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's high on the list. Adina Steele, super high on the list. Journey Burke and Harleen are super new to the game, but man, they are going to be special.
They're crushing it. They're going places. Like I see them and I'm just like, good for them. They're going like making names like
I might be ruining something by the time this airs December. So if I don't have something recorded by then, it's my own fault. But I'm kind of in talks with Harleen to do like, so I'm bringing in content like the Not Cool in High School. We're gonna do like movie reviews and music reviews, and then a horror version where we like review horror movies. So if there's anything you're ever passionate about, come on, let's talk pop culture stuff. But I think we're gonna try to do the entire Saw collection, like every Saw movie. So like one every month. But it's gonna be me and Harleen doing the entire Saw series. So it's gonna be like a repeat guest. Because it's like, I think it's funny because her character's like, I'll cut you. And then she's like doing horror movie reviews, which I think is super fun. And I can't like, that's another thing I can't wait to start doing besides the podcast. Like, that's why I'm trying to get these all done now. So I have from now to the end of the year, a little bit at the beginning during the winter when everyone's kind of stuck inside, to like, let's watch a movie and then review it and then make fun content. Or like, hey, the new Blink-182 album's coming out. Do you like Blink? Let's listen to the album, talk about it. Like, what song grabbed you? Like, I just think that's more like like I want to incorporate more wrestling people because I enjoy talking backstage all the other things besides wrestling than like just the pop culture side or video games or whatever people are into. It's a lot of fun, but yeah, it's just fun to make that bonus content. And like I said, I can't really leave the house now, so that's like my way to make the vlog for right now. But so what are some plans? I know this will air later, but like, what are some future plans or things that like you have in the horizon or things that you want to accomplish or maybe promotions you want to get into? like speak things into existence?
Ooh. You know, this past year has been amazing. I've gotten to work with so many more promotions like I wanted to. That was literally my goal last year. I almost quit last year. And I've spoken
Really?
about it here and there where yeah, I went through
Do you mind if we dive into
really
that? Like what happened?
yeah, of course. I went through some really hard imposter syndrome where I felt I wasn't good enough, that I really sucked, and like I was like, okay, like if people are saying I'm good and stuff, like why am I just like not getting booked? Like what's wrong? What could I be doing? And this was like around it was after Mania. It was like around end of May and lasted up until like the end of July. It
Yeah.
was really bad. I would get really upset. I would cry. And I would just be like, I think I was like to myself, okay, like I mean, I just might quit at the end of the year. I don't think there's gonna be much for me. It doesn't like seem like everything, like anything's happening, and I don't know if this is for me or if I can handle this. And like my friends are like, no, you can't, like you can't give up. Like yeah, sure, this like stuff is hard, but you gotta push through. Like just try like maybe reaching out, just like keep going. You never know what will happen. And like around that time was also SummerSlam in Nashville. And I had like I was gonna go, and around that week I was really upset, and I was like, you know what? My kids were like, no, you're gonna go, and you're gonna have a good time, and you're gonna remember why you're doing this in the first place. As soon as I got there, mindset changed. I was so happy. I was in the zone. I was with my like all my people that were like supporting me and getting me through this time, and I was with them, and I was just having a blast. I was filming interviews, I was with my friends, I was watching wrestling, I was doing everything. I was like it's like what am I getting upset for? I was like, okay, like this it does take time, and then at that point things did turn around for me because I was working with High Tension at the time, and just started working with like the new promotion BRCW. I get a message from Goddesses of War Wrestling booking me for their show coming up in the new year. Okay, cool. That's gonna be fun. And I still have to ask Kevin to this day, like, how did he know who I was and why did he book me? So I gotta ask him about that.
You
And
were
then
getting
in
booked out
terms
in
of
Florida and stuff too, like Boca Raton, right?
yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, because I had met them, and like from Goddesses is with the Titan Enterprises. I hear from Billy. Billy wants to bring me in because of, if Goddesses is going to use me, they're going to use me. Let's test it out. I stick with Titan. Who do I meet at Titan? Somebody that works at VCW. They liked the interaction that we had when I was there. That after the first time, brought me into VCW. Who else is at like Titan? People for Pro Wrestling Magic. It snowballed into that too. I went to Pro Wrestling Magic in the beginning of this year, and like it just kept snowballing. That's what in turn got me into Invictus. Alex was at Titan. Commentator saw me, brought me in. Like it went into a snowball effect just because, and I was like, oh my god, like it's all usually like in a sense networking and also
Hmm.
how you do your work, but it is a big thing where it's networking. And I got that's how again, Smash, CFU, divisions of High Tension, they knew me. They're like, okay, she's good, bring her in. Like it just kept snowballing because people see you and how you work, and like I was like, okay, there we go. And I was like, that was like kind of crazy for me at the end of the year last year, because then I was like, then I looked back and I was like, I was so sad like months ago, maybe like 6 months ago at that time. And I was like, and I look back, I was like, I was so upset about that. And like, look where I am now. Like, I'm doing all this stuff. Like, I prayed to get there, and now I'm here. And then fast forward now into this year of 2023, I've worked like how many weekends, and this is what I wanted so bad. And I was like, okay, I've done that. I've gotten where I've spoken into like existence. I've This is what I prayed for, and I received it. Okay, what's next? What do I pray for next? What's the next thing? And I think going into 2024, I think my next thing is let's try and get out of the tri-state area. As much as I love the tri-state area, and I'm still going to stick around, of course, because this is my place, and I it's easy to access. There's so much wrestling here. I want to go to some new promotions. Let's see what happens. I mean, I've been reaching out to places. Hopefully, like we hear some stuff end up somewhere else. But I'm ready to try and like go a bit higher. Let's see if some other top promotions are interested or put me in the back of their mind if things open up or wanna, I'm willing to help out and see what's going on. I think that's what I'm trying to look forward to into the new year.
Yeah. Is there a promotion that's out there that you're like you watch or you look at their roster or you look at what they do and you're like, I want to be part of that team?
Definitely like the higher ones. Like, of course, like that's like it's a dream. It's a dream to wanting to end up in WWE or in AEW, but it's still trying to get on the be on the path to get there.
Yeah.
And I definitely would like love to go to places like Impact. I know New Japan is like starting their whole thing and like bringing in new people, and there's always MLW, there's NWA, and there's like a lot of places like around the country. Like I'd be lucky to work anywhere as long as
Yeah.
I get to do what I do. I love what I do, and I get to be with wrestling. I love it. I just love it so much. I honestly can say anytime there is a show day, and I know it's like usually whatever Saturday, Sunday, I get up and I get so excited because I know in those moments I'm gonna be my happiest. Nothing else is gonna matter in that time, just that, and I get so
Mm-hmm.
excited.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I'm really happy you got through that, man, because that imposter syndrome is a bitch. Like that is so hard, man. And it on your mental aspect too. Like my first year and a half, 2 years, I would struggle with that so bad. Like every week I was like, I shouldn't be here. Like this shouldn't be what, like I literally was someone who brought a trunk full of equipment. I shouldn't be on commentary. I try to not do any of that stuff. And then I did it and I was like, I kind of like it. And then it was just like trying to find those bookings and trying to get your name out there. And then I start getting my name out there. And then just like you like life ups and downs, like, hey, this happens. And it's just like all those, it's a mental game. It's hard to get through. So I'm really happy you got through it. I think you have a very, very bright future. We kind of talked about the Stams and the Alicia Toots and stuff like that. Is there any other names in the business that you really look up to from the standpoint of what you do, the backstage and the vlogging and all that other, and like that wrestling content thing that you like watch or look up to and you're like, they're a really big motivator for you?
So yeah, like you said, Sam, definitely, Alicia, um, Alyssa Marino. Oh my God,
Oh,
best. She's
I may
just
have
been
just
so
reached out to
great.
her for an interview. Hopefully that happens. she she
Samantha
is
Irvine.
one
Oh
of the
my God.
most, sorry to cut out, but she is one of the most impressive people I got to listen to on commentary. I
Mhm.
was helping with a production team and she was on commentary, and like she had like I always bring notebooks and stuff because like I never know if there's like cell phone service or I don't have the money for like, but like to bring my laptop or anything. I feel like because
Yeah.
everywhere I always go there's no space, but like she had a laptop, she had like the internet connection going to it. She had cage mashup. She was doing research, and everybody was like, it's good to see a lot of the tools that I was taught how to use, like her using it, and then the way she did it. I was like watching her and kind of picking her brain, and just the way she delivers herself on commentary and the way she goes about it. She's really, really good. Like honestly, like for the people I've got to sit back and watch from like a commentary standpoint, like I never really see her. Like I've seen some of her content she does, but like she reminds me of like the independent scenes Renee Paquette, and I think Renee's the goat. Like I think
Mhm.
she's the
Oh,
best. And
number one.
Alyssa, like I got to watch Alyssa. I'm like, she's gonna be very, very good if someone puts her in the right position.
Oh, 100%. So I've really looked up to her as well. Like she's so amazing. I mean, and then ring announcing Samantha, oh my God, she's so good. She's so good. I love
Oh, from
hearing her.
WWE.
Yeah,
Oh, she's the
Kathy
best.
Kelly, she's been great. From like what I've seen of her stuff, she's so good. Lillian Garcia, ring announcing. Renee, as we keep saying, she's goat, goat. I love her.
Top. Her
Um,
podcast is
oh,
so good.
Oh, I love her podcast. I don't think she's filmed anything in a while, and I loved like listening to it. I'm like, oh my God, can she
I
bring
think
that
once she
back?
got the AEW job, it's tougher for her to maintain it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my God, who else? Shane Fair. Shane is so good. I love Shane.
he might be a
Um,
future episode. It might have. Well, it'll probably air after yours, but it may have been already recorded.
oh my God, who else? Justin Roberts, because going from how he was, remembering him from WWE, AEW. So I would say him as well. Oh my God, so many people I can think of, but those are some of the like top people because you grow like some of them you grow up watching, or some of them you're friends with, or and like or fans of their work. So it's
Yeah.
there's a lot of good people I look up to in the business.
So besides the world of professional wrestling, what are some other interests of yours that you like to do, or you're like maybe you're a collector or pop culture or video games? Like what is your escape when you're not immersed in the world of professional wrestling?
Ooh, my whole life is wrestling. Be like, well,
I
you
feel
and I
you.
were
Like
talking about this before. I got a nice collection of Squishmallows and other stuff on the
so if you're
bed.
a fan of
But that's like not
Samira,
number
bring
one.
her Squishmallows to shows so she can add to her
Squishmallows.
Squishmallows so she can bring them to shows. Bring them to shows as gifts. So then she just has nowhere to sleep because I don't know how she lays in that bed.
I don't know how I do either. But besides like that, like that's like a little thing. But I love I like obviously like YouTube and watching like Netflix, like watching like all the shows like reality TV. I'm a big reality TV person.
What's your
Um,
go-to right now? Like what's your show?
ooh, I'm right now. I just got done watching. While this is while we're recording this episode, season 5 of Love Is Blind is like out right now, and they didn't
I
air the
can't get
wedding
into that
episode
show.
yet. No, it's so good.
Here's
So
the thing. Now that I'm recently in that scene, I have no help. There's no faith. I have no hope. I'm going to die alone because people are so shallow, like so shallow. Like everything has
But
to be
it's
perfect for
so
everybody. Like,
interesting to
oh, I
watch.
hate it.
It's so good.
Oh,
Listen,
I hate it.
I'm single. I mean, at the time of this recording, I'm single. Hopefully, by when this comes out, I have somebody, but I highly doubt it. But it's just so interesting to watch because you see how it happens in those experiments. But especially like this season right now is very different from the 4 seasons that they've had, and I'm just like, what is going on? And I can only
I
imagine
like The
what the weddings
Circle.
are
Do you ever
going to
watch
be
The
like.
Circle?
I love The Circle. I want to audition to be on there so badly.
That's a good show. I like The Circle. I see. I don't mind reality television. It either has to be like almost social experiment good. Like what was the one that was on Netflix? It was like an old show they revamped, like The Mole, where someone's just there to sabotage the whole game. That was a
Oh,
pretty good one
okay.
that was on Netflix.
I've heard
The
of it,
Circle
but I
is
didn't
good
watch
because
it.
yeah, The Circle is good because that is like where you have to like there has to be a strategy to it. You're not just going in there and acting crazy. But then like on the flip side, when it's complete trashiness, like I just found it on Tubi TV. There's your plug. The Bad Girls Club. Have you ever watched The Bad Girls Club?
Yes, I
So I
love
just
Bad Girls
started
Club.
watching season 1 through. It is so trashy, but it's the best. Like I grew up as a real world person. I loved the real world. That was like my favorite show. And then I seen a few seasons of Bad Girls Club, and then I was like, I'm gonna go back and rewatch every season because it's on this Tubi.
Yes.
It's a train wreck, but it's amazing.
Yes. Have you watched Jersey Shore? I love Jersey Shore.
I couldn't get into Jersey Shore.
No.
I couldn't do it. As an Italian, I was like, they're a terrible representation
No. It's so good. I still go back and rewatch it. I love that. Selling Sunset is so good.
What's the one where they put like the hottest singles on an island, and if they have any physical contact, they lose money?
Too Hot to Handle. I love that.
That's
show.
a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, we're gonna put the sexiest people in the world who their only mission in life is to have sex, and they can't touch each other, and like people are like, it's worth $50,000. Let's go in the back. You're like,
oh my god, it's drama. It's just so good.
Yeah.
I love it. I just love all reality TV. I get so into it. So like I'm just like sitting here naming off show after show after show because I can watch all of it almost.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There was another one too where people like I think it was on Netflix that was pretty interesting where like a bunch of couples went into a show and then like they had them all that was wild.
I feel like I don't
know. Could you imagine being on that show? Could you imagine being on that show?
I can't, like, if you're gonna give somebody the ultimatum at that point,
why are you even together?
I would not want to see them with somebody else. Like, I would, I still like. I know the new season like had just come out recently, and I still need to watch it yet. But like
that's anxiety watching
was, like,
it.
crazy.
You're like, oh.
I'm like, oh my god, like why? I would just at that point, like I would probably break up. I'm not giving them no ultimatum. I'll be like, we're done. Like I can't see them with somebody else.
Yeah.
But hey, it cracked some of the ones in the beginning. They're like, you know what? I'm not even doing this. Let's get married.
Yeah, I love when a guy's like, here's a little pro tip to girls out there. If you're in a relationship or you're talking to a guy, and you want to see if like they want to be with you because like maybe the guy's indecisive, tell them you're talking to somebody else. Like, hey, someone just messaged me. They'll be your boyfriend in 3 seconds. I promise. Because like, if I can have her, yeah. They only threatened until you find somebody else, and then it becomes a big deal.
It also kind of reminds me of the show Temptation Island. I haven't watched that in a hot second. I watched a couple seasons of that, and that one's also crazy because it's like, oh, you're going on the show, but then like they're living with multiple like other like people going out on dates with them. I'm like, oh my god, like
no hope.
It's
no hope.
fun to watch,
like,
but I'm like, if that's
over.
me, like I could not imagine like going there. I mean, sure, you're going and you're basically getting the answers that you need after that, but I'm just like, oh my god. But I love watching it.
The best on the ultimatum was this guy and his girl go there. I forget who they are, but like this guy was like, yeah, it's gonna be great. And he sees all these girls and he's like, what's up, girl? He's kicking his game, doing his thing. And the girl's like just breaking down, like, oh my god. And he's looking over at her, he's like, all right, she's not like I'm gonna have a great time here and she's gonna struggle. And then she meets this one guy and he watches them have a connection and he just looks the way she looks at this guy, and they're all at the table and they're all making their picks. He's like, I have an announcement. I want to marry you.
Yeah. I remember that.
I was like, and she's like, oh my god, yes. I was like, he was threatened because you gave somebody else those eyes. And he was like, oh no.
Kind of happened on Temptation Island. There was this one couple, I forget what season it was, and like she brought him there. I think he wasn't making any like connection. He like realized she was like the one, while she was making this connection with some other guy. And they come together, I think, after I forget how many weeks it is, two or 4.
Is that the one where they show them the videos too? They're like, here's the video of you're like, oh, like I don't want it.
And you only see a snippet, like you don't know the full context or anything.
That's torture.
They come at the ending and he's like trying to propose to her and she's like, no, I'm done with you. I want nothing to do with you. And she runs off with the other guy. And I'm like, yeah, you go, you tell him.
Oh my god, it's horrible. Did you imagine being on that? That'd be terrible. Do you watch like The Bachelor, the one where they get the roses? I never seen that one, but I know the concept.
I used to watch it like many years ago, but like then I got out of it. I was just like, oh, like okay. But that's also kind of crazy because like you're one person dating like a bunch of people. Like, oh gosh, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Now, when you watch this and you're in the world of professional wrestling, do you ever watch those shows and be like, this is all worked? This is a complete work. None of this is real. Like this is 100% scripted.
Some of it's a work. But like some of it, I can assume it's real because like I'm sure real feelings are getting involved and stuff like that.
Yeah, like I watch it coming from this world. Like the world of professional wrestling will ruin you for everything. It'll ruin like because you overanalyze everything. You learn how to read people because you literally go every weekend and you're around people who are trained to act like somebody else for a short amount of time. And you're like, oh my god, people can turn that on like that. It'd probably be like being in the world of acting, where nothing like reality is not a thing, and then the lines blur between the two because maybe more in professional wrestling. Because if a professional wrestler like MJF got so big, when he's out in the real world, he still keeps that character and he has to be that person, and the reality is completely blurred. And then you watch reality TV and you're like, oh, this is all fake. 100% fake. like I don't know, like it ruins me sometimes. It 100% ruins me.
I always want to know like what is real and what is fake. Like I want them to go like I always said like somebody I saw it on TikTok, like I would love if like they're like if Snooki and JWoww went through each episode of Jersey Shore and like recapped it. I would love to see that for Total Divas. I would love to know what was actually real and what was like fake.
I think Total Divas, a lot of that is fake. I think a lot of it, like I would assume, because anytime WWE puts you on camera, it's scripted. Yeah, like they don't really give you a lot of reality.
What was real? Like I wonder what like actually was real and stuff. Like I remember, I think was it Danielle? She said about the whole Natty thing and how she slapped her, like, and how she, oh, was that good? And I was like, oh my god, that was actually scripted. Like,
yeah, I can't. It's hard to watch anything. Like I was like, oh, kayfabe is dead. I'm like, no, it's not. Watch reality TV. People think that's real every day. Like that's like people watch Storage Wars and don't think they slip things into those storage containers to make money. Like. Realize when you don't script stuff. Here's what I found out too. I kind of looked into this. So people who game stream, a lot of those game streams, they have scripted moments in there. Like
They do.
because sometimes if you do a 3-hour stream and if nothing exciting happens, like, but every day they have clips of exciting things. They're not always that amazing at every game stream they do. There's parts where they plant things in there so that gives them content.
I never knew that.
The whole world is fake. Everything in all this world is fake.
Oh my gosh.
Everything is scripted to the point. It's like if you try to do a legit shoot battle royal and you draw numbers, it's never going to work out. You have to plan everything.
You can't just randomly pick who comes out.
Yeah. Because if you try to do it legitimately, it's never going to work in the eyes of production. It's going to fall flat, or it's not going to be interesting, or it's going to be boring. Like, you have to work it so it stays consistent and interesting. Like Storage Wars, like, you don't, like, they 100% plan stuff in there because every episode would be like, nope, didn't make any money because we just found someone's storage unit full of dirty underwear. Like, that would be every episode, but like, this baseball card's worth $1 million.
Oh my god, I never knew that. I feel so dumb that I didn't know that.
Yeah, I probably just ruined you now forever. You're never gonna look at TV the same.
No, I just didn't know that about Storage Wars. I knew that about, like, obviously, like, reality TV and stuff, but like Storage Wars, I was like, but now I can see, like, I can see it.
Like Pawn Stars, like when they do Pawn Stars, a lot of that stuff, they're like, hey, if you have like a legit high item, let us know when you're coming in so we can have our camera crew there so we get it all on camera. Like, they're not filming every single day at store. Like, they wait till the good stuff. Like, because most days are probably boring as shit there. Like, there's only so many interesting things in the world. And everyone's so prepared for the interview. Like, oh yeah, I just happened to be fully in makeup and mic'd up and I brought in my boat. Like, no, come on.
My boat.
You know what I mean? Like, but yeah. Well, listen, we hit that hour mark. I appreciate your time so much. This was a blast. If you have any like fun content, let's do it. Let's find a TV show, like a reality TV show, and we'll watch it and then come back like after it's all wrapped and we'll talk about the whole show. Let's do that. That'll be an episode of Not Cool in High School.
I think that would be so fun.
We would probably have to bring Alex in on next. I think Alex is a giant reality TV show.
He loves Jersey Shore as well, so he actually.
I can't watch something that has like 10 seasons. It'd have to be like a show like Love Is Blind where we watch like 11 episodes and then talk about it.
Oh my gosh.
Jersey Shore's too much of a commitment. That's like 14 seasons. I can't do that.
No, it's not. It's 5 or 6.
Yeah, but isn't there like 3 seasons in Italy and 2 seasons here and then a reunion season?
No, well, then Jersey Shore Family Vacation has basically been going on since like 2017, 2018. So they've been running with that. So that's different. They did 2, 3. I'm like trying to count. I think it was like 4 or 5, or no, 5 or 6 seasons in the original, and it's all on Hulu.
Another thing too, when you watch like TV on Netflix, like you watch like The Circle or you watch like the Love Is Blind, I've seen 1 or 2 on there. Temptation Island, I've seen 1 or 2 on there, and then like the Floor Is Lava. A lot of those people who are on that show are like TikTokers. Like, they're popular TikTokers because they have a following and they're good looking. So they're like, do you want to be on our reality show? Like, you look and you're like, I know that person from somewhere.
Yeah.
And then it ends up on your You're like, they're from TikTok. They have 3 million subscribers. They didn't randomly end up in Temptation Island. Like, they're actors. Oh yeah. But where can people find you on social media or to support you in your future endeavors? I think you have a merch page as well. Where can people find you?
Well, the best way to get all the links for everything is Linktree, so linktr.ee/THEITSSAMIRA, where you'll have my X. It's so weird saying that when I usually say Twitter. X.
Yeah.
Instagram.
What do they call it now when you tweet? Like, is it still a tweet?
I think it's just a post.
Oh.
It's really weird. I don't like saying that.
Yeah.
So it's like X, Instagram, my YouTube channel, my Pro Wrestling Tees webpage with like my merch, and I forget what else is on there. There's some other stuff on there, my TikTok and like some other stuff. So that's where you can find everything. Has all the good stuff. So my merch too, and I don't post like on the Linktree where I'm gonna be at. You would have to click my social media to find out what shows I'm working.
And make sure you bring all the squishmallows to all the shows as gifts. The next time I interview her, I want to see a mountain of these things on the bed. Is there
It's
like a
gonna reach
brand
the flag.
is there like a brand of Squishmallow you like how they have like a Pokemon one, or like is there like a certain type that you're like, oh, that's my favorite? Last
Oof.
question, sneak in. They all look like bears or food. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
really know what.
there's this one's the pumpkin spice latte. This is chips and guac because I like guac. This one is a funny story I want to share. Okay, this guy right here, I forget what his name is.
It
I don't
looks
know
like
if
a
it has
pea.
on the tag. He's a turtle. I just forget what his name is. I wish they'd keep it on here. But there's a funny story to this guy and how I knew it was meant to be. So me and my friend went to Six Flags over the summer, and we walk into one of the stores just to like kind of look around. They had Squishmallows, and this is like right before like they're gonna close. And of course, like I want to go in. I want to see the Squishmallows. She finds this one. There's no other one of it in the store at all. Like nothing. Like there's no duplicates of it. So usually when you get them, there's like a tag on them, and it tells you what's their name and what like in their background.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so funny. She picked it up because she thought like it was me because of the iced coffee. I love coffee, hot, cold, anything cold brew. Like I love coffee. We look at the tag, and what would you know? This Squishmallow, okay, loves coffee, but you want to know the best part?
His name was
This
Samira.
Squishmallow, oh no, this Squishmallow was a sports broadcaster. Like I was just like, and there was no other Squishmallow like it. Like there was no other, like there was no another one of this. And
So it
she
like
just
gives you a
happened.
background of what they are, like a like they're like they had a life.
Yeah, like what they are, like what do they
It's
do and
interesting.
what they like, and like their name. I just can't remember the name because I'm so bad at it. I know my friend is gonna kill me. My wrestling mom, Aria Blake. Hi, or Aria Perkins now. Hi, Aria, if you're watching this. Um, Yeah, so I thought that was so funny. They didn't do it. This was the only one of this one in the store. My friend happened to pick it up, and I was like, it was a sign. I was like, sports broadcaster and likes coffee. I was like, this is me. Like, I have to get them.
There you go. What a way to end
Iconic.
it. We're ended on a Squishmallow commercial. Thank you so much for your time again. I had an absolute blast. I hope you had a good time. Everyone, make sure you check out the links below. Support her in all her ventures. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. She works so goddamn hard at this industry, and she's traveling all over the place. If you haven't been, please go to England. Another name, like check out and when you're there, go watch her independent wrestling scene. It is unbelievable. The way they chant and react at shows, the British crowds, it's magical. I had such a good time. Actually, I went there and I walked in because I got like comp tickets for the show, but I thought I was only allowed to be in the one show, but they let me in early for the Defy show, so I was only there supposed to be for Progress. And I get there, and Casey Navarro is wrestling Nick Wayne in London, like in
Oh,
Camden. So I walk in, and Casey Navarro comes out like, "That's my boy!" Right? But everyone's booing him because he's wrestling Nick Wayne. So they
yeah.
have their match and they kill it. And then Casey's over at his merch table like at the end of the show, and someone hands him like their currency, and he's trying to figure it out in his brain, like, oh, okay. I'm like, these stupid Americans can't figure out the British currency, and he like hears it, and he's like, that, and he looks up and goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And I'm like, "I'm here for you, my guy."
Oh my
Yeah,
god, that is so funny.
yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, if you that would be something you gotta go check out. England for the wrestling scene, so much fun. I was fortunate enough that one of my listeners got me over there for the All In pay-per-view, but it's like it was dope. You gotta check out England.
Oh, definitely on the list. Got to make it out of United States. Hopefully, make my way over there. Dream is definitely to obviously Middle East, Lebanon. I'd love to do something over there. Represent.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, great job. I loved it. There was an absolute blast. We're gonna have you back on. We're gonna talk trashy reality TV, but that'll do it for the ABJ podcast, episode 95 with it's Samira. Go follow her, show that love and support. And here's some music by the Converse Kid. We'll see you next time.